Hi, this is Chrissy Incognito, and welcome to another episode of my show. Now, you might be wondering why I'm incognito. This is my alter ego that can say things that I cannot otherwise say unless I was incognito. So, thank you for returning. In order to understand more about this episode, please view the previous episodes. Happy listening. Hi, this is Chrissy Incognito, and welcome to another episode of my channel. This episode will be entitled Greg, the reason why I decided to permanently remove myself from the dating pool. Okay. So this is going to be a kind of long, complicated episode. So I'm going to try to make it as seamless as possible because it extends over 5 years. Okay. So, this was my last relationship. This took place between 2009 and 2014. So right now it's 2024, so it's been 10 years. And I'll explain why I'm perfectly comfortable in my decision, especially because there's so much slim pickings out there. That's a huge reason. I would be completely fine finding somebody normal, but there isn't anybody, and we'll get into that as well. Okay, so Greg. Okay, so let me first start out by saying this was the person, whether I was stupid or completely stupid, this was the person I wanted to marry and spend the rest of my life with. Now, if I didn't feel, or if I didn't believe, or if I wasn't convinced that he felt the same way, I would have not been in this relationship. Okay. So, in my other episodes, I talk about that I don't like drama. Okay. And if I'm not wanted, I usually will remove myself. I don't go after situations and people that I'm not wanted. And part of the reason is it's counterproductive, right? If somebody doesn't want you or a situation doesn't fit and they don't want to have you or whatever it is, whether it's a person or a situation, it's just not um beneficial to spin your wheels and go nowhere. Okay. And whether it's a pride thing or whether it's a sensibility thing, it might be a combination of both. So I want to preface it that because I'm the kind of person, now, as you saw from the Lance episode, so the way I look at it, or the way I tell the story, is that I tried with Lance. Okay, there was the period of time where he stopped talking to me, which again you'll have to view the episode in order to know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, that's okay. He stopped talking to me, and I still was waiting in the wings, so to speak. And then I was still hopeful. And when I met him, it was a disaster. And I came home from that trip, and that was it. That was it. And at that time, that relationship meant a lot to me. Or it probably wasn't even a relationship. I never got that far. The plane took off, but the relationship never did. So I'm good at giving it a go, and then when I realize it's just not going anywhere, I am okay with saying, "Listen, I tried it. I tried to make a go of it. I tried to hold up my end. This is not working." Okay? So keep that in mind when I tell you about this relationship. Okay. So let me just get it out of the way now. So, when I met Greg, or I should say, let's back up a little. When I started dating Greg, I was 35 and he was 20. Okay. Now, Do you think he was a typical 20-year-old that had baggy pants and was irresponsible? And no, no. Okay, so let me back up. We met while we were working together, and he's like a nerd. Okay, whether that's good or bad. He's like a nerd. So there were people in our workplace that were full-fledged adults, and everybody would go to him because they knew how responsible and conscientious and Greg he was, right? So even at work, he was taking on more responsibilities than the adults that were there because when everybody got to know him, they were like, "You're like every mother's wet dream. Like you're so neat and you're so pleasant and polite and responsible and everything." Okay, let me get a little bit more into that. So I met Greg at work. Now I had been at this job and that job, and now I was at this job. Okay. I met Greg at work, and all I remember is when I first saw him, I knew he was a lot younger than me, you know. And I said, "Oh, that's such a good-looking young man. If I was his age, I would ask him out." I went on with life. I didn't really think about it a lot. So Greg and I worked together for about a year, and I I don't know. I don't know what caused me to I mean, I know what caused me to leave, but it wasn't like Bob and I were fighting or he tried to make a bigger commitment and I didn't want the commitment or, things were falling apart. Everything was the way it had always been. We were at a distance. He and the kids would come to my house. I would go and be with them on the weekends and stuff like that. And so it was like kind of this back and forth. So we still kept a relationship going. And everything that was not there was still not there. You know what I mean? So it wasn't anything new, but I think I changed. I changed. So let's get into that. So when I met him at work, he was working two jobs. He was putting himself through college. He bought his car cash, $10,000, and, he was involved in the church, and he was helping his, family with his disabled brother. So, there are 40-year-olds that don't even have that much under their belt, okay? And he was also, like, day trading stocks or whatever the day trading like, whatever the average person does. So this was not a I don't think I could have dealt with a typical young person. Um, I wouldn't have had enough patience, and I wouldn't have had anything in common with him. So I was at that job, and at some point I got another job. And I was saying goodbye to everybody, and I was giving I was giving people my email and whatever. And I exchanged emails with him. Now, at the time that I was leaving, I was attracted to him. Okay. Um I was attracted to him, and but not only physically, but also I came to like his personality. And so he gave me his email, and I gave him mine. And I went about my life. And then like a week or so after leaving that job, I started to kind of miss him, right? I was like his smiling face, the good conversation, um just just I started to miss him. And I knew it was not I can't say it wasn't appropriate, I mean, he was way past legal age, but I know that it was, like, my big thing that kept ticking in the back of my head was, "What's the chances of this working?" Nothing works out in life. Whether you are the same age, whether you're the same age and old or the same age and young, nothing works, okay? And so my thinking is, what's the possibility of this working out? At this point in my life, I was like, I'm just going to email him. I'm just going to email him. It's not going to do any harm. I'll just email him. And because when I was leaving the job, he had helped me take some boxes out to my car and stuff like that. I said, you know what? I'll just thank him for helping me out to the car. So I emailed him and we had such a great time emailing back and forth and back and forth. And he was funny. He made references to like he knew the same references I did. He understood my references. Like we were talking about movies and shows and just different things. And then it just started to progress from there. Um, Within a month, then we obviously started like to meet together like for dinner and stuff like that. But I had known him a year before we started dating. I mean, we were dating, but I don't know why I did that. But anyway, um, so I felt way more comfortable dating somebody what I call in real life rather than on the internet, right? I met it like I briefly met his family while he was working there. Um, I spent a lot of time with him. I saw him in a lot of different situations. I talked to him about many different topics. I saw how responsible he was. I learned about his life, where what he was doing and that he was going to school and he was, and this comes up in casual conversation. It's not like, well, yeah, I have a job and a half. How do you think about that? You know, it was just like the natural progression of talking to somebody. And then when we weren't at work, we just had so much fun. And it was like good, clean fun. It was like getting to know each other and it was silly and it was fun and it was like, all of that kind of stuff. So we start dating. Now he's got to break the news to his parents. Okay. He's 20. He just turned 20. So he's living with his parents. I mean, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that. Um, so we met. I met his whole family. I mean, they were, like, so nice. They were like, "Oh, come in, come in." And I was like, "Oh god." I was like, "What are they gonna, like" I said, "What are they gonna beat me for robbing the cradle?" And, I met his family. They were wonderful. Um, so somewhere in there, this was, like, maybe a month or 2 down the line. Now, I was 35. I didn't want any kids. I never made it a secret. I mean, every place I go, like people know I do not like children. Like they're just too much responsibility, too much, too much, just too much everything, too much money, too much germs, too much, too much. Okay. Um, so he had heard me reference it at work, that I was not a kid person, and just because, like, they're just too much. Um, so I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I need to have a talk with him." And, So I said, "Listen, we need to talk." He goes, "Oh, no. Is it bad?" I was like, "No." I said, "It's just something that I feel like, I need to bring up."